Lavender is supposed to be one of the easiest plants in the garden. It thrives in poor soil, tolerates drought, and often looks better with less attention than most flowering plants. So why are so many gardeners watching healthy lavender suddenly turn brown in the middle of summer? It often starts with a few faded stems. Then the center begins thinning out. Leaves lose their silvery color. Entire sections collapse seemingly overnight. Many gardeners respond the same way. They water more, add fertilizer, or try to rescue the plant with extra care. In many cases, that response makes the problem worse. At the same time, a surprising kitchen spice has become increasingly popular among home gardeners. Some sprinkle it around struggling lavender plants, believing it helps protect vulnerable stems and roots from conditions that can lead to decline. But does it actually help? And more importantly, why are so many lavender plants failing in the first place when this Mediterranean herb is famous for surviving tough conditions? The answer begins with a mistake that happens in thousands of gardens every summer, and most people don't notice it until the damage is already underway. One of the biggest reasons lavender struggles in summer is that gardeners often treat it like other flowering plants. Lavender did not evolve in rich, moisture-retentive garden soil. Its ancestors grew along the dry, rocky hillsides of the Mediterranean, where rainfall was infrequent and water moved quickly through the ground. That history still influences how the plant behaves today. When temperatures rise across much of the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, gardeners naturally worry about drought stress. Brown leaves appear, flowers start to begin fading, and growth slows. The immediate assumption is often that the plant needs more water. But lavender frequently responds to excess moisture in ways that look surprisingly similar to drought. Roots sitting in wet soil cannot access oxygen efficiently. As oxygen levels drop, root function declines. The plant becomes stressed, foliage loses vigor, and sections may begin turning brown. From above, it can appear thirsty even when the soil is actually too wet. Container-grown lavender is especially vulnerable because water can accumulate around the root zone if drainage holes become blocked or potting mixes stay damp for too long. What makes the situation even more challenging is that the most serious damage often occurs in a part of plant many gardeners rarely inspect, the crown. And that small area where the stems meet the soil surface is often where the real trouble begins. The crown is one of the most important parts of a lavender plant. It sits at the base where the stems emerge and connect to the root system below. Under ideal conditions, the crown remains relatively dry, even after watering. Air circulates around it, moisture drains away quickly, and the plant continues growing normally. Problems begin when water repeatedly collects around this area. Heavy mulch push against the stems, dense soil, poor drainage, frequent irrigation, or extended periods of wet weather can all keep the crown damp longer than lavender prefers. Over time, this creates an environment where fungi and other decay-causing organisms become more active. Gardeners often miss the early warning signs. A lavender plant may still produce flowers while the crown is already under stress. New growth may appear normal on the outer edges, even as the center begins weakening. Then, seemingly without warning, entire branches start dying back. One clue is where the browning occurs. Drought stress usually affects the newest growth first. Crown-related problems often start near the base of the plant, where stems attach to the crown itself. By the time large sections collapse, the underlying issue may have been developing for weeks. This is exactly why some gardeners started looking for simple ways to reduce fungal pressure around vulnerable plants, and why an inexpensive kitchen spice began attracting attention far beyond the spice rack. That kitchen spice is cinnamon. For years, gardeners have shared stories about using ground cinnamon around seedlings, cuttings, and plants growing in damp conditions. Its popularity comes from the fact that cinnamon naturally contains compounds that can inhibit the growth of certain fungi under laboratory conditions. That sounds promising, but this is where gardening folklore and horticultural reality need to be separated. Sprinkling cinnamon around a struggling lavender plant does not cure root rot. It does not reverse severe crown damage, and it cannot repair roots that have already died from prolonged exposure to wet soil. What cinnamon may do, however, is serve as a supportive practice in specific situations. Some gardeners lightly dust exposed crown areas after removing decaying plant material or after pruning damaged stems. The goal is not to heal the plant, but to help keep the area dry, while reducing conditions that may encourage further fungal activity. The key word is supportive. Professional horticulturists generally focus first on correcting the environmental problem. If excess moisture remains, no amount of cinnamon will solve the underlying issue. The wet conditions that allowed the problem to develop will continue, causing stress. In other words, cinnamon is not the main story. The real story is why moisture remains around the crown in the first place. And one surprisingly common gardening habit creates that problem more often than almost anything else. That habit is overwatering on a schedule. Many gardeners are taught that consistency is the secret to healthy plants. Water every few days. Follow a routine. Never let the soil dry out completely. For vegetables and many annual flowers, that advice can be useful. For lavender, it can become a problem. Lavender is adapted to periods of drying between waterings. In its native environment, roots often grow deep in search of moisture. This natural cycle encourages a strong, resilient root system. When water is constantly available near the surface, roots tend to remain shallower and the surrounding soil stays damp longer than the plant prefers. The result is a plant that becomes increasingly vulnerable during humid summer weather. A common mistake occurs after a heat wave. Gardeners notice drooping flowers or slightly gray foliage and immediately assume the plant needs more water. In reality, temporary drooping can occur during intense afternoon heat, even when soil moisture is adequate. Adding extra water every time the plant looks stressed can gradually create the exact conditions that lavender dislikes. This is why experienced lavender growers often pay more attention to the soil than the leaves. They check how quickly water drains, how deeply moisture penetrates, and whether the soil has had time to dry before watering again. And once drainage enters the conversation, another overlooked factor begins to explain why some lavender plants thrive for years, while others struggle from the moment they're planted. The difference is often hidden underground. Many gardeners focus on sunlight, fertilizer, and watering frequency, yet the soil structure beneath the plant may determine whether lavender survives or slowly declines. Lavender prefers soil that drains rapidly. Water should move through the root zone instead of lingering around it. In sandy or gravelly soils, this usually happens naturally. In heavier clay soils, the situation can be very different. Clay particles are extremely small and packed tightly together. After rainfall or irrigation, water can remain trapped for long periods. Even when the soil surface appears dry, the root zone several inches below may still be holding significant moisture. This creates a challenge because lavender roots need both water and oxygen. When soil pores remain filled with water, oxygen availability drops. Roots become stressed, growth slows, and the plant becomes more susceptible to diseases associated with wet conditions. Many struggling lavender plants are actually growing in what horticulturists sometimes call a bathtub effect. Water enters a planting area faster than it can leave, creating a persistently damp root environment. This is especially common when lavender is planted in low spots, near downspouts, beside irrigated lawns, or in flower beds amended with large amounts of moisture-retaining organic matter. Interestingly, this is one reason some gardeners report success after using cinnamon. They make other improvements at the same time, adjusting watering, improving drainage, or removing excess mulch, and the plant begins recovering. The spice gets the credit, but the real recovery often starts with changes happening beneath the soil surface. And one of those changes involves something many gardeners place around lavender with good intentions. That something is mulch. Mulch is one of the most widely recommended gardening practices, and for many plants, it provides tremendous benefits. It helps conserve moisture, moderate soil temperatures, and suppresses weeds. But lavender is not most plants. A thick layer of moisture-holding mulch pressed against the base of lavender can create exactly the environment the plant evolved to avoid. Wood chips, shredded bark, compost, leaf mold, and other organic mulches can trap humidity around the crown. After rainfall or watering, moisture remains in contact with the lower stems longer than it otherwise would. In humid climates, that damp environment may persist for days. This doesn't mean mulch is always wrong around lavender. The type and placement matter. Many experienced lavender growers leave a small gap around the crown so air can circulate freely. Others use coarse gravel or small stones rather than moisture-retentive organic materials. Gravel warms quickly, sheds water efficiently, and helps keep the crown drier. This approach closely mimics the rocky conditions where lavender naturally thrives. A quick inspection around the base of a struggling plant often reveals a clue. If mulch is touching the stems, if decaying leaves have accumulated around the crown, or the area remains damp long after rain, the plant may be experiencing ongoing stress even if everything above ground appears normal. And this brings us to one of the most important questions a gardener can ask. How do you know whether a lavender plant is still recoverable or whether the damage has already gone too far? Not every struggling lavender plant can be saved. One of the hardest lessons for gardeners is recognizing the difference between a stressed plant and a dying one. The sooner that distinction is made, the better the chances of taking effective action. A recoverable lavender plant usually still has signs of life near the base. If you gently scratch the outer layer of a stem with your fingernail, you may find green tissue underneath. New shoots may be emerging from lower branches, even if the top growth looks sparse or brown. A plant that has suffered severe crown rot often tells a different story. The base may appear dark, soft, cracked, or hollow. Stems detach easily. Large sections become brittle and gray. When multiple stems are dead all the way to the crown, recovery becomes much less likely because the plant's central support system has already been compromised. This is where realistic expectations matter. Cinnamon cannot reverse extensive crown decay. Additional fertilizer will not rebuild dead roots. More frequent watering usually accelerates the decline. In some cases, the most practical decision is to remove the plant and focus on correcting the site conditions before planting another lavender. That may sound disappointing, but often prevents gardeners from repeating the same problem year after year. Fortunately, many lavender plants begin showing improvement when stress is caught early enough. And one of the most effective steps has nothing to do with products, additives, or garden hacks. It comes down to understanding how lavender actually wants to be watered during summer. When it comes to summer watering, lavender rewards restraint far more often than intervention. Many gardeners are surprised to learn that established lavender typically performs best when watered deeply but infrequently. Rather than receiving small amounts of water every day or two, the plant generally benefits from a thorough soaking followed by a period of drying. This encourages roots to grow deeper into the soil profile instead of remaining concentrated near the surface. The exact timing depends on climate, soil type, rainfall, and whether the plant is growing in the ground or in a container. There is no universal schedule that works everywhere. That's why experienced gardeners often rely on observation instead of the calendar. Before watering, check the soil several inches below the surface. If moisture is still present, additional watering may not be necessary. If the soil is dry and the plant is showing signs of genuine drought stress, a deep watering is usually more beneficial than frequent light irrigation. Container-grown lavender deserves special attention. Pots dry out faster than garden beds, but they can also remain wet for long periods if drainage is poor. A decorative container without adequate drainage holes can become one of the fastest ways to create root problems, especially during rainy periods. Another common mistake is watering late in the evening. When temperatures cool and evaporation slows, moisture may remain around the crown and foliage longer than necessary. Small adjustments like these often make a larger difference than any garden additive. And once watering is under control, there are a few preventive practices that can dramatically reduce the chances of facing the same problem again next season. Prevention is where lavender care becomes much easier, and where most long-term success stories begin. Healthy lavender plants are rarely the result of a single trick. More often, they're the result of several small decisions that consistently favor the plant's natural growth habits. The first is location. Lavender thrives in full sun. 6 hours is often considered the minimum, but many of the best-performing plants receive 8 hours or more direct sunlight each day. Strong sunlight helps keep foliage dry, encourages compact growth, and reduces the damp conditions that many fungal problems prefer. Air circulation is equally important. When lavender is crowded by dense shrubs, overgrown perennials, or closely spaced plantings, humidity can build up around the stems. Good airflow helps moisture evaporate more quickly after rain, reducing stress on the crown and foliage. Pruning also plays a role. Light annual pruning helps maintain a compact shape and prevents plants from becoming excessively woody. However, cutting deeply into old, leafless could be risky because lavender often struggles to regenerate from severely aged stems. The goal is maintenance, not drastic renovation. For gardeners interested in using cinnamon, this is where it fits best, as a minor supporting practice rather than a rescue treatment. Some gardeners dust small amounts around freshly pruned areas or exposed crown tissue, but its effectiveness depends far more on proper growing conditions than on the cinnamon itself. In other words, lavender health is usually determined by sunlight, drainage, airflow, and watering long before any kitchen spice enters the picture. And that leads to the biggest lesson gardeners discover after losing or saving a lavender plant. The story of cinnamon and lavender is a good reminder of how gardening advice often spreads. A gardener sprinkles a common kitchen spice around a struggling plant. A few weeks later, the lavender looks healthier. The tip gets shared with friends, posted online, and eventually develops a reputation as a simple fix. What often gets overlooked are the other changes happening at the same time. The gardener may have reduced watering. They may have removed wet mulch from the crown. They may have improved drainage, increased airflow, or simply caught the problem before serious damage occurred. Those factors are usually doing most of the heavy lifting. That doesn't mean cinnamon has no place in the garden. Its natural properties have made it a popular supportive practice among gardeners for years. But the evidence suggests it should be viewed as a small part of a larger approach, not as a cure for root rot, crown rot, or severe lavender decline. The real key to healthy lavender is understanding the plant itself. Lavender evolved in sunny, dry, fast-draining environments. The closer we recreate those conditions, the better the plant performs. When we provide too much water, too much moisture around the crown, or poorly drained soil, we unintentionally create the conditions that lead to trouble. So if your lavender is beginning to brown, don't start by reaching for a miracle cure. Inspect the crown. Check the drainage. Evaluate your watering habits. Improve airflow. Remove excess moisture around the base. And if you choose to use cinnamon, treat it as a supportive gardening practice rather than a guaranteed solution. In many cases, those simple observations reveal the real cause of the problem and give the plant its best chance of recovery. If you've noticed similar results in your garden, let us know in the comments.